Hello guys. So we'll be basically doing a few of these questions which are there in the official SAT website as the question bank for the digital SAT. We are just looking at the high difficulty levels, difficulty level 3. So there are quite a few questions. We'll take up those questions one by one and see what's the best way of solving those questions. Okay. So let's start with the first of these. So this one gives you a table x by y and some values are given k13, k plus 7, negative 15. The two coordinates basically. Now they're saying that the y-intercept of the line is k minus 5 and b. So that means they have given you 3 points. X, y is there. So one point is k 13, one is k plus 7 minus 15, and the other one is k minus 5 b. They're asking the value of b. So we can just solve this using slope. Okay. So even if you don't use the slope as such, you can just use a pattern because it's a linear equation, right? So the straight line, we see that when x increases by 7, the value of y reduces by 28. From 13, it became minus 15, right? So a 7 leads to a change of 28 on this side. So that means a change of 1 would ensure a change of minus 4 on this side. So from k, if I want to check to k minus 5, that means a change of 5, 4 times, right? So this side, the change would be 20. Now it is always the opposite. Here it is plus, so here it is minus. Here it is minus, so this will be plus. So that means it will be 13 plus 20. So the value is 33. That's your answer. Simple. Alternatively, now if I go by a technical definition of slope and equate, so if I given the first 2 points, the slope is y difference over the difference of the x values is equal to the difference of the y term. So let us take the second y term is b, right? So we have 13 minus b divided by the difference of the x values would be k and k minus 5, right? Because this is minus 5, k minus 5 is given. So now if I solve this, this is 28 over minus 7 equals 13 minus b over this is 5. So we have minus 20 as 13 minus b. So b comes out to be 13 plus 20, so 33. But obviously the first method is faster. I hope this is clear. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah, okay. So now this one says this is the line ax plus ky equal to 6. A and k are constants. It says that the line contains both the points. What is the value of k? All right. So if you look carefully, there is a point 0 comma minus 3, right? Means x is 0, y is negative 3. If I were to just use that and plug in here, why? Because see, I'm interested in the k, right? I'm not interested in the x as such. I'm interested in the y. So if I can get rid of the x, my job's done, right? So by plugging in 0, I can easily get rid of the x. So I just plug in 0 minus 3. Just ignore that negative 2, negative 6 for the time being. Okay? 0 minus 3, let's plug in. So a times 0 plus k times negative 3 is 6. This is gone. So the value of k is negative 2 and you're done. So there is no need to actually figure out the slope or the intercept and then find the equation in that form. That's a complete waste of time. So you have to be on the lookout for these clues, okay? The subtle clues there. 0 helps here. Let's go on to the next one. Now it says that there are two equations of x and y. There's pretty complicated equations there. And the solution has, this system has no solution. And they want you to figure out what's p. So first step would be to get rid of all these by 2s and by 3s and by 4s and all that stuff, right? That makes this thing much more clean because we need to have like group x and y's maybe also, right? So first equation, I just multiply with, like, look at the denominator. You have 2, 3, and 4, right? So let's multiply with 12 throughout on both sides. 12 times. So 3 over 2 times 12 will get you 18y. 1/4 of 12 will give you 3. 2/3 of 12 will be 8. And 3/2 of 12 would be 18 again. So this equation now, when arranged together, gives you minus 3x plus 36y equal to 8. Right? Let's look at the second one. We'll multiply by 2 throughout because it's just the 2 in the denominator. We have x plus 3 equals 2py plus 9. So if you rearrange the terms here with the x and the y in order as above, so we have x minus 2py equal to 6. Now we are told that the system has no solution. That means we are looking at a set of parallel lines, and parallel lines would therefore mean that the ratio of the coefficients here would be the same, equal, but the constant ratio is not the same. So what we have is, this is 1x, right? So we have minus 3 over 1 equals 36 over negative 2p, which is clearly not equal to 8 over 6 because negative 3 is not equal to 8 over 6. So if I solve it, the value of p comes out to be, we can cancel out the negative also. The value of p here comes out to be 18 over 3. So that is 6. Okay. I hope this is clear. You should remember this. So ax plus by equal to c and px plus qy equal to r. No solution. Condition is a over p equals b over q, not c over r. So it's a handy thing to keep in mind. Let's go to the next one. Feel free to pause the video whenever you wish to, and then review the method that I have used to solve. I am just continuing with the solutions. Now here it says a window repair specialist charges $220 for the first 2 hours. Okay, so 2 hours gone and you have paid that guy 220. Now it says that there's an hourly fee for every additional hour. The total cost for 5 hours. So now 5 hours means you have an additional of 3 hours. That's what would make 5 hours. And now you are saying that the total cost is 400. So that means these two together makes 400. That means this side is 180. 400 minus 220. So that means for 3 hours it is 180. So that means it is at the rate of $60 per hour. So the question they're asking is, which of the function gives the total cost for X hours of repair? So now if it is for X hours of repair, out of which 2 hours are gone. So the cost would come out to be 220 plus, so that's 2 hours gone, X hours total. So you're left with X minus 2 hours, which you are charged at the rate of 60. If you were to expand it, 220 plus 60x minus 120. So fx comes out to be 100 plus 60x. And that is the first option. This is the technically correct way of solving, right? What when we do it faster? We know that for 5 hours, the cost is 400, right? We just plug in x as 5 and check. So if I plug in x as 5, so this is 300 plus 100, 400 is fine. This is 300 plus 220, that's not matching. This is 400 plus something, definitely not right. This also is 400, but then this implies that the cost is directly proportional to the number of hours. There is no initially fixed cost or something like that. Since they are saying that the rates are different, there must be two different things being added. So this clearly does not suit the correct logic. And hence that would not be the correct answer. Alternatively, you can also say, since it is 220 for the first 2 hours, if I were to just plug in x as 2, I should get 220 as well, right? So if I plug in x as 2, I do get 220 here. I get 160 here, which is again wrong. So we can just plug in values and solve it as well. Next. Says Hector used the tool to remove corn from a storage bin at a constant rate, which contained 24,000 initially, and 5 hours later, now you have 19350 left. Now it's saying that at this rate, how long will it take? So if it continues to remove corn at this rate, what is the total number of hours you will have been using this when this remains? So 12840 is left. So from here to here, how many hours? So if I, let's say, do some bit of quick approximations, okay, without doing exact calculation. So 24,000 to 19,000, let's ignore the 350. So that's basically 5,000. So if I say that, let's say just 5,000 in 5 hours, 24,000 to this is almost 13,000. So that means you have left, you have removed 11,000, right? Roughly. Okay, this is roughly minus 5,000. This is minus 11,000. So 11,000 would therefore take how much? 5 upon 5,000 times 11,000. So it's somewhere around 11 hours. Closest to that, if you look at it, there's only one option. Let's just mark that. You don't need a calculator for this. Okay, but let us do an exact calculation just to show that this is okay. So 24,000 to 19,350. If I now do the exact calculation. So that difference, if you calculate, that is going to be 4650 in 5 hours. And to get this to 12,840, I would need to do 11160 in how many hours? So the answer would be 5 divided by 4650 times 11160. And if you were to use a calculator for this, because even though factors would cancel out, but still just to make things little faster, so we would get exactly 12 hours. Okay, you can use a calculator. I was just working it out. One of those. So that's your answer. But then doesn't make sense, right? Like, because you see the answer choices are not really very close, except maybe for these two, but it's worth a shot. So 24,000 becoming 19,000 is around 5,000. 24,000 becoming 12, around 13,000 is around 11,000. So if 5,000 takes 5 hours, 11,000 will take how long? So that's 11. Closest option, 12. You're happy? Let's move on. So this one gives you a set of values of x and y. Now it says that the line k is the result of translating this line h. This is about line h. Okay, so you are translating this line h 5 units. What is the x-intercept? So we somehow need to figure this equation out. Okay, so first of all, let's quickly figure out what's the slope. So 160 to 130, so that's a difference of 30. 23 to 18, that's a difference of 5. The slope is 6. That means my equation is y equals 6x plus something. If I were to just plug in one of these, let's say 130 maybe. So I'm gonna get 130 is equal to 6 times 18. So 6 times 18 is 108. So you need another 22. So that means my equation is y equal to 6x plus 22. Now after this is done, you are saying that this is basically line H, right? Now line K is obtained by translating this down by 5 units. So if you translate this down to get line K, we will just subtract 5. So my equation will now become y equals 6x plus 17. Now to figure out the x-intercept is basically the point where y is 0. Let's just plug in there. So we'll get 6x plus 17 equal to 0. So x is negative 17 by 6. So that is option 4. So the two steps were first figure out the equation, then translate it down using the shifting of graphs concept, and then figure out the x-intercept by plugging in y as 0. Let's move on. This one says the economists model the demand of a product as a linear function, means it's a straight line. The demand was 20,000 when the selling price was 40. Okay, so 20,000 at 40 per unit, and then it became 15,000 when it was 60. So what we clearly see is when it's increased by 20, this dipped by 5,000. So that gives you basically the idea of the slope. So this is Q, this is P. Okay. Now it says, what is the demand when the price is 55? So when it becomes 55, that means you reduce by 5. So when you change by $20, right, it in decreases by 5,000 means what? If I go by the unit method, for every $1 change, this is going to reduce by 5,000 by 20. So that would be 250. So an increase of 1 makes a decrease of 250. So a decrease of 1 would mean an increase of 250. So what I'm saying is, if this were to decrease by 1 instead of increasing, so if this was minus 1 instead, this side would therefore become plus 250. But then if this is my decreasing by minus 5, then this side would increase by 5 times 250. So that will be 1250. That's the increase. So the answer would be what? 1250 added to this. So that is 16500. So that's the answer. We are using the concept of slopes, but not in the formula way. We are using it in a much more, let's call it what, easy to understand concept way, and getting the answers. If you were to use the slope by the formula way, we would have said let the demand be Q. So we would equate the slope. So 20,000 minus 15,000 upon 40 minus 60 equals 20,000 minus Q. That's the one we need to know, over 40 minus 55, and then solve for Q. Okay. So let's quickly do that. What do we get? So this side is 5,000. This is negative 20. That is 20,000 minus Q over negative 15. So let's cancel something. 250. The minus minus cancels out. So we have 20,000 minus Q equals 3750. That would give us Q to be 20,000 minus 3750. So that would be 16250. Sorry, I here wrote a wrong value. My bad. This is really bad of me. This would be 1250. I've added to this, right? So I just wrote by mistake 1650. It is 16250. My bad. The answer would be this. Yeah, I just added a bit wrong. But yeah, you get the idea, right? So we have got 16250 here. All right. Let's go to the next one. A certain apprentice enrolled in 85 hours of courses. This is the equation. X is the number of on-site training hours, training course, and Y is the number of online training courses. Okay. 85, please note, is the number of hours. If this is the hours, then 10x should be hours and 15y should also be hours. Only then hours plus hours would give you hours. Okay. Now, x and y are the number of courses. So then 10 hours, this 10 must be the hours per course, which when multiplied with the number of courses will give you the number of hours for both of them. Now, since they're asking how many more hours does each online training course take than each on-site training course. Now, online training course X is basically Y. So that means, and X is the on-site. So that means on-site training hours per course is 10. So 10 hours per course is for on-site, and 15 hours per course would be off-site or online rather. So their difference is basically 5. Okay, so their difference is basically 5. Okay, you don't have to solve anything as such. It is not asking you the values of X and Y, which obviously you can't solve. They're just asking you the difference between the per hour values of each course. So 10 hours and 15 hours each, the difference being 5. Let's move on to the next one. The cost of renting a backhoe of for up to 10 days is this for the first day. So $270 for 10 days. And $135, my bad. So $270 for one day and $135 per day for the remaining additional days. Now they are saying which of the equations gives the cost for X days where X is less than equal to 10. So if I had rented only for one day, it's very similar to the one that we did sometime back. So if I had rented for only one day, then I should have got the cost to be 270. Let's check first. Which one, when I plug in X as 1, gives me 270? This one does not. This one does not. This one does not. This one does. That's the only one which does. Just mark and move on. No need to waste time on this question. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Adam's school is a 20-minute walk or a 15-minute bus ride. The bus runs once every 30 minutes. Okay. And the number of minutes that Adam waits for the bus is between 0 and 30. Which of the following gives the values of W? W is what? The number of minutes W that Adam waits, the waiting time, for which it would be faster for Adam to walk to school. So what they are basically saying is it's a 20-minute walk. Okay, if you start walking now. But now if you start waiting for the bus, okay, and the bus comes every 30 minutes. So let's say the bus has just left and you have waited for 30 minutes and then it took you another 5 minutes. So then it would take me 35 minutes to reach, which you don't want because you are saying that it will be faster for Adam to walk to school, right? So if the bus takes 5 minutes to travel, the maximum I can wait is 15 minutes because then that would be just 20 and then these two would take the same amount of time. So whenever the waiting time for the bus is more than 15, greater than 15 minutes, I'll be better off walking to school because that would take me a shorter amount of time. So waiting time greater than 15, right? So like 16 minutes you waited and then it took 5 more minutes. So 21 minutes. You would have reached faster by walking, right? So waiting time greater than 15 is the case where you are better off walking. So now which one gives you this? This is saying waiting time is less than 25, greater than 25, less than 15, greater than 15. That's what we want. So that's the answer to the fourth option. So W plus 5 is greater than 20, which boils down to W greater than. I hope this is okay. Let's move on to the next one. Here, this one says that Alan drives with an average of 100 miles each week. Okay. So his car can travel an average of 25 miles per gallon. Okay, 25 miles per gallon. Now, he would like to reduce his weekly expenditure by $5. All right. Assuming gasoline costs $4 per gallon. So, which equation can he use to determine how many fewer miles M he should drive each week? So now, let's say we don't want to solve it by the normal way. So normal way we can always do, but let's just try out something different, okay? If you look at the units, so 25 is miles per gallon. This is 5 is basically just dollars. This one is 4 is basically dollars per gallon. And M is basically miles, okay? Let's look at the units and try. If you look at the first option, 25 you're saying is miles per gallon divided by 4, which is dollars per gallon, multiplied with M. So that means you are multiplying miles. See, miles per gallon, dollars per gallon will cancel out. You will get mile over dollar times mile, which doesn't make sense. So that's out. Second one, miles per gallon over dollars per gallon. Again, multiplied with miles. Again, as we saw that it doesn't make sense, right? So it's gone. Look at C, it's 4. So that's dollars per gallon divided by 25, which is miles per gallon, multiplied with M, which is miles. So see, gallons gone, miles also gone. You will be left with dollars. 95, is it dollars? No, there is no 95 mentioned anywhere, right? So doesn't make sense either. Last one, option D has to be right. Let's see. So it says 4, which is dollars per gallon upon 25, which is miles per gallon. Gallons gone, multiplied with M, which is miles. Miles gone, you will get dollars, which is 5 actually dollars. So that is matching. Perfect. So let's mark that and move on. So even if you are, let's say, not willing to read the entire thing and understand and then solve, which in this case, it's fine. You can always do it. But we can just use the concept of units and figure it out faster. Let's move on to the next one. So this one says a local transit company sells a monthly pass for $95 that allows an unlimited number of trips. Okay, so $95, fine. Tickets cost this, or this, depending on the length. What is the number of trips per month for which a monthly pass could cost less than purchasing individual trips? So purchasing for individual trips will be the highest when you have the highest journey. So $3.50. So if you, let's say, what is the minimum number of trips? Let's call that T. So if I have T trips, each of $3.50, that would be 3.5 T. And now you are saying that this has to be greater than, because the monthly pass, they're saying the monthly pass would cost less. So that means 95 would cost less than this. Or in other words, T is greater than 95 over 3.5. So if I were to just multiply it 2, or you can just use a calculator and calculate. So we get T is bigger than 190 over 7. So that's T is bigger than 27.1 something. So if T is bigger than 27.1, obviously you can't have fractional trips. And if you take 27 trips, then you are actually going to have 95 to be costlier. So you will have to have 28 trips. And this is one of the mistakes that often people do, is they drop the inequality and put equal to signs there and solve. And when they get 27.1, you think that, okay, that's going to be 27 rounded off, right? And then we'll mark 27, which is wrong, because you need to get it to 28. All right. Let's move on. Next, this one is saying there's a line intersects the x-axis at this point. So that's the x0, y value. So the y-intercept, and passes to this point, this. And it's saying that 20W lies on this. What is the value of W? So we can easily do this using slope. So if you look at these 2 points, the slope is 2 minus -6 divided by 2 minus 0 is equal to, for these two, 2 minus W over 2 minus 20. So we get 2 plus 6, 8 over 2 equals 2 minus W over -18. So that gives you 2 minus W equals -72. So W is 74. Okay, just equating the slope, because all the 3 points lie on the same line and it's a straight line. So the slope must be the same, whichever points you take. Let's go on. So here it's saying that y is less than equal to x plus 7, y is greater than equal to -2x minus 1. This, which of the points would satisfy? Obviously, here the easiest, best way is to plug in values and check. So let's plug in x as -14 and y as 0. I get -14 less than or equal to 7, which is fine. Here we get 0 greater than or equal to 28 minus 127, which is not. So A is ruled out. If I go with the second option, 0, 14. So x is 0, y is -14. -14 is less than 7, which is fine. And in this one, -14 is bigger than -1, which is not. So that's gone as well. 0, 14, if I plug in, then 14 is less than 7. So that's obviously wrong. So it has to be the fourth option. Let's just verify. Y is 0. This is 21. So that's okay. And this is 0 is greater than -29, which is also fine. So answer is D. So we don't need to do anything special, just plug in and check. Next, again, we do have a question with no solution scenario. This, let's simplify. Let's get the y on this side. So we have 4x minus 16y equals 2. And this one, let's multiply by 2. So we get, the first step would be 2ty equals 1 plus 4x. And then rearranging 4x minus 2ty equals minus 1. No solution means this ratio should be equal to this ratio. So that gives us 4 over 4 equals negative 16 over negative 2t. So that means 2t equals 16. So t is 8. Let's go on to the next. So this is an equation which gives you the conversion from Fahrenheit to Kelvin. And this complicated equation is kind of given there. Now, if you observe one thing here, then F is basically 9 over 5x. Now, this 9/5 gets multiplied with this numerical value, minus 273.15, and then 32 is added. So, plus some constant, okay? I don't know what the constant is, whatever it is, okay? It's not something which I'm really interested in. Why? Because I know this is slope, right? Y equals mx plus c form, right? This is the slope. And what does the slope give us? The slope tells you that 9 by 5 is the change in, the y here is the Fahrenheit, change in F, by x is basically the change in Kelvin, right? So if I were to plug in the values, 9 over 5 equals the change in Fahrenheit. So we don't know that. That's what we need to find. So let's call that the change in Fahrenheit only, divided by the change in Kelvin, which is 9.1. Now, if I were to calculate the change in Fahrenheit, would therefore be 9 times 9.1 over 5, which is like almost 9 9 is 81. 81 over 5. 80 over 5 would be around 16, right? 9 nines are 81. So approximately it is 80 over 5, which is around 16. The closest option, option A. That's your answer. All right. So now let's move on to the next one. So this one says that a salesperson's total earnings consists of a base salary of X dollars plus commission of 11% of the total sales the salesperson makes during the year. All right. So it's a base salary of dollars X plus 11% of sales. Now it's saying this year the salesperson has a goal of the total earnings to be at least, so total earnings, so X plus 0.11 times the sales, which is S, to be at least 3 times and at most 4 times. So less than or equal to 4 times the base salary, at least 3 times the base salary. So now if I have this and I have to choose one of the options, let's subtract X throughout. So we have minus X on this side, minus X here, minus X here. So this becomes 2X. This is 0.11 S. And this is 3X. Now let's divide by 11.11. So we get S 3 upon 0.11 X and 2 upon 0.11 X. So that would be the second option. I hope this is fine. Let's go to the next question. The functions f and g are defined as fx is x over 4 minus 9, gx is 3x over 4 plus 21. If the function h is defined as hx equals fx plus gx, so we'll just add them. Let's figure out what is hx, fx plus gx. So x over 4 minus 9 plus 3 over 4x plus 21. So x over 4 and 3x over 4 add up to 4x over 4, which is x plus 12. Okay, hx is x plus 12. So they're asking the x-intercept. So x-intercept means the point where the graph intersects the x-axis, means y is 0. So if I have that, then we have x plus 12 is 0. So x equals negative 12. Okay, let's move on. During a month, Morgan ran R miles at 5 miles per hour. So R miles at 5 miles per hour and B miles at 10 miles per hour. Now she ran and biked a total of 200 miles. So that means you are saying that R plus B is 200. It's also given that she biked for twice as many hours. So here, what will be the time? If I want to figure out the time, here it would be R miles at this speed. So time is distance over speed. So R over 5 hours. And here it would be B over 10 hours. Okay, so this is ran and this is bike. So it's saying that bike for twice as many hours. So that means bike for B over 10 is 2 times as many hours she ran, R over 5. That gives us B to be 2R over 5 multiplied with 10. So that's 4R. So they are saying that how many hours did she bike? So if I have B equal to 4R and I plug in here, so we have R plus 4R equals 200. So 5R is 200. That gives me R to be 40. But then that is not what my question is. The question is how many hours did you bike? So that means you have to find out B, which is 4 times 40. So that is 160 hours. Let us look at one more for now. So here it says a number X is, so X is at most 2 less than 3 times. So 3 times the value of Y, 2 less than that. Okay. At most means maximum, upper limit. So X is always less than or equal to this. Now they're saying that the value of Y is -4. So 3Y minus 2's value would become 3 times -4 minus 2. So that's -14. So what we have from these two is that X is less than or equal to -14. Okay. So less than or equal to -14. So other values would be what? Like values of X would be what? It's less than, okay? So it would be like -14, -15, -16. These are all less than, right? On the negative side. They're saying the greatest possible value of X. So therefore that is -14 only. So that is the answer. Okay. At most less than, 2 less than thrice. So 3Y minus 2. Y's value is given is -4. So -12 minus 2 is -14. So at most X is -14. The greatest value is -4. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll be back with another video with more questions. So we have like around 150, 60 questions we'll discuss. Thanks for watching.